and welcome to the Survivor to Thriver show with your transformation guru, Samya Bano. Are you overcoming big challenges in your life? Do you want to transform the world? Is fear holding you back from taking the bold action you need to create massive positive change? If so, keep listening and transform that fear into freedom. Hey, welcome back to the Survivor to Thriver show. Last episode, I was talking with you about the idea of relating to our fears as our ally and relating to our fear as our friend, not only actually our friend, but as our best friend. You know, the kind of best friend who tells you not only what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. Oftentimes, we don't want to hear what our fears are communicating to us. We don't want to hear the voice of our fears. We would much rather just not experience fear at all. But the fear is our best friend. It acts like our best friend. So it doesn't just do what we want it to do, what we would like it to do. It does what is necessary for it to do in order for it to help us stay more safe, stay more secure. So respect. We must respect our fear. We must respect the function that it's serving in our lives, the very, very critical and important function in our lives, because we all have a deep human need for safety, for security. We all need to have someone or something present in our lives that is vigilant about our security, our survival, any threats to our survival. And the fear serves that function for us. So if you really think about it, it makes not a lot of sense to villainize our fear, to think of it as an enemy, to think of it as something bad. On the contrary, we need to honor our fear, we need to respect our fear. Treat it like the best friend that it is. Now, it's one thing to sort of intellectually understand and accept this concept, this idea of relating to our fear as our best friend or as our ally. And it can be a whole different issue or a whole different challenge to learn to deal with that at an emotional level. To learn to live in alignment with this idea of treating our fear as our ally. So that's what I want to focus on today. It's like, how do we deal with our fear at an emotional level so that we are treating it as an ally, so that we are focusing on not fighting it or running away from it, but rather working on transforming it into something positive. So as I was thinking about how I could share with you, how to make that happen, how to emotionally transform our fears into something good, into something positive, made me think of Harry Potter. That's right. Hey, if you've read the books or even just watched the movies, I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about, right? Remember in book 3, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, we were introduced to 2 dark creatures that exist in Harry Potter's world. The first one, Dementor, and the second one's the Boggart. And in learning to deal with these 2 dark creatures, Harry learned to deal with his fears. He learned to quite literally transform his fears that he started out perceiving as something very, very bad, something very, very negative. Like these are dark creatures, right? And you're like, wow. And the way you respond to them is through transformation. So let's talk about the Dementors first for a moment. So remember, the Dementors are these creatures that have the power to suck all happiness and joy and hope out of a person and out of the environment. So as soon as the Dementor comes near you, as the Dementor approaches you, you begin to relive your worst memories. And you lose all sense of hope, of things getting better. And you become trapped in your own misery and hopelessness. Most people who are exposed to the Dementors for extended periods of time were driven crazy because of the sense of hopelessness and despair and constantly reliving their worst memories over and over and over again. And that is why it was said that the Dementors didn't need any actual physical prison in order to hold their prisoners or keep the prisoners that they were guarding from escaping. The prisoners were not able to escape because they were stuck in internal prisons, the prisons of hopelessness and despair. And for Harry, when he came across the Dementors, he also began to relive his worst memories. And as young as Harry was, he had gone through some really traumatic experiences in his life, the most traumatic of which was the murder of his parents. And that was the memory that Harry was forced to relive again and again anytime the Dementors came near him. He was forced to relive the memory of how his parents were murdered. And he found himself becoming incapacitated, unable to move, unable to function. And that put him in all kinds of danger. And so Harry realized that he had to learn a way to deal with the Dementors, to protect himself, to save himself from the Dementors. Now comes the Boggart, right? The Boggart was this other dark creature, and the power of the Boggart was to take the form of the thing that you are most afraid of. So when the Boggart appeared before you, or you came face to face with the Boggart would take on the form of whatever scares you the most. So if you were the most scared, if you are the most scared of spiders, like Harry's friend Ron was, the Boggart would take the form of a spider, gigantic, scary spider. Hermione, Harry's other friend, she was afraid in failing all her classes, failing out of school, getting expelled. And so the Boggart showed her that vision, took on the form of creating that reality for her, where she thought, oh my God, I'm failing out of school. I'm getting expelled. See, so it's like whatever you're the most afraid of, that's what the Boggart will turn into. Now for Harry, the Boggart turned into the Dementor. Because Harry was most afraid of facing the Dementors. He was afraid of facing his own fears. He was facing not only his own fears, but of experiencing the painful feelings that emerged when he was facing the Dementors. Professor Lupin, Harry's defense against the dark arts teacher, summarized the situation thusly. He said, Harry, you are most afraid of being afraid. You're afraid, your biggest fear is fear itself. And that's actually kind of impressive, right? It's like the other kids, they had like something, like some object, something that they were afraid of. But Harry was afraid of being afraid itself. His biggest fear was fear itself. So he was afraid of feeling the feelings. And if you think about it, that's so true for pretty much all of us. See, usually, if you think at a very surface level of what we are afraid of, we may come up with specific things, specific objects, specific experiences. But if you dig deeper down, it's like, what's the root cause of the fear? It's usually the fear of fear itself. It's usually the fear of feeling the feelings that we don't like to feel. So it could be the feeling of fear, but it could also be like, I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to feel that sense of hopelessness. Or whatever other, feelings that you perceive to be negative, to be bad. And so you become afraid of feeling those feelings, and you want to run away from feeling those feelings. So, wow, I just love, like how J.K. Rowling kind of explored this whole theme of what we are afraid of, why we're afraid of what we are afraid of, and how we can deal with it. And I want you to think about, for yourself, what are you the most afraid of? I mean, like really, really, not just at a surface level, but what's the root cause? So if you come up with something like, I'm most afraid of public speaking, which is one of the top fears that people have, like in the general population. It's like, but really, what is it about public speaking that you're really so afraid of? Just dig deeper, 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 deeper. And I'll bet that in most cases, you will find that what you're really afraid of is the feeling itself. So you're afraid of feeling the fear, or you're afraid of feeling the anxiety or the stress or the sadness. You're afraid at the root of it all of feeling the feelings, including the fear. So, but don't just take my word for it. Like I said, go through this process on your own time. Really dig deep, connect with your heart, and see what comes up for you. And if this is something you find yourself struggling with, please don't continue to struggle with it on your own. Reach out for help and support. And you know that I'm one person you can reach out to. Just go to my website at www.academyofthriving.com. Click on the Contact Us page, and you'll see how we can connect. And the next time, we'll delve deeper into this and actually talk solutions. So until next time, I wish you lots of peace and joy.